districts. Now, that means that according to the affirmative action of the 1995 Constitution, every district is supposed to have one woman representative. So that is how the woman district representative comes about, or the one we call the woman member of parliament. So every district of the 146 should have one. But also when we continue in the other, of course, things, we have what we call the quota system, where we have mandatory representation in government positions, education and employment. And then, of course, special programs where initiatives to support women's education, economic empowerment, and leadership development. Of course, if you've been to the university, then you know that there is also a privilege for women. But also in article, I mean, in the same article 78(1)(b) of the Constitution, there is also special interest groups representation for the youth, workers, people with disabilities, and other marginalized groups. Now, that is why yesterday we had elections of these, of especially the workers' representatives in Parliament. Now, these are all key positions, and of course, we saw 3 out of the 5 are taken by women. Of course, 1 are taking the female workers representative, that is Fiona Naku, but also 2 women, including Honorable Namoviru and Birungi Annette, of course, taking the other 2 among the 5 men, the 4 men. So that is also another aspect we are looking at. And then, of course, soon we shall have elections for special other special interest groups, including persons with disabilities and the youth. But also in equal opportunities, of course, promoting access to education, employment, and economic opportunities. Now, of course, the other things we can talk about here is the Uganda Gender Policy of 2007, which is also aimed at promoting gender equality and women empowerment. Now, when you look at all these, you remember that, or you will keep in mind that today, we thought that at least a woman should contest on the female, on the woman district representative, but increasingly we've seen women coming for positions that were earlier thought were for men. For example, when you look at Kampala here, Kampala Central, of course, our next MP is a lady, Hajat Minsa Kabanda. And when we stretch our eyes to Kawempe South, the next MP for that constituency is Hajat Madina Nsereko. So this is a sign that women are stretching and increasingly engaging in politics. They're increasingly getting into politics. Of course, we've seen a very number of them. And now, our point of discussion is what does this imply? Should we say that now women have stood up for their rights? Are there any challenges that are involved in this entire arrangement? Of course, when we look at the key features, among these, of course, like I said earlier, that women are at the forefront, and we really yearn to look at the leadership of women. We look at our structure as a country, from the vice president to the first deputy prime minister, the prime minister, the speaker, the first deputy prime minister, second deputy prime minister. So all these are women, and indeed, we should admit that they have caused a change in the way things are and in the way things happen. However, we want to look at the challenges that await, especially when we see that increasingly they're now overtaking the men, if I can use that word. Like I said, our guest from FIDA is going to digest these more thoroughly for us, to tell us what awaits, especially when we see that women are increasingly getting into positions. Of course, when we also stretch our eyes to places like Masaka, there is also a constituency, I think it is Bokoto East, that was taken on by a woman, formerly by a man, and so basically you realize that indeed women are taking over, and they are also showing thereof they can now favorably compete with the men. Well, let's take a 30 seconds breather, and then we continue with our conversation.
Issues at hand. Issues at hand.
Well, we have Allure Omega from FIDA, and she's here with us. It's a pleasure having you this morning with us, and good morning.
Good morning. I'm very happy to be here. I'm always excited to be on Family TV.
And Happy New Year. We last had you here last year.
Yes. I told you Family TV is truly home. Firstly, because it's the TV station that truly cares about human rights and bringing guests that speak about human rights. But then at the same time, being an Anglican, it's very refreshing to see, a church-centered television station that will go out of its way to make sure that people have the information that they need.
Okay. You found us in the middle of the conversation, looking at women are rising in politics. But if we can start with, in your perspective as FIDA, giving us an overview of how this entire process was, especially the electoral process, and your observations of how things were, much as we are here enchanting that, yes, we are seeing very many women coming on board.
Women coming on board is a marvelous thing. That is truly perfect. Of course, you have those women MP seats, and you have the male MP seats. And as you were saying, I heard you just a minute ago saying that women are overtaking men.
Yes, they are.
It is not that they are overtaking men. How come when the men are more? I've never heard anyone saying that the men are overtaking women. We must always be at a balanced ground. To know that if this person won, they won truly in their capacity as a as a politician.
Exactly. That is my point. That now the capacity, people are seeing more capacity in women than men, and that is the threat now that I was trying to raise.
Threat. Your words here very scary, because now I'm scared. Am I going to overtake you? No. But it is truly a good thing that women are participating. And as you were having that conversation, I remembered. Some time back, there is a woman MP who stood for a direct MP seat, and her constituents told her, "Hey, you want to stand for a direct MP seat? Don't you know that there is a woman MP seat? Why are you going to the men's toilet when there is a woman's toilet?" And those were the exact words. So it went to show that even as affirmative action is still playing, these thoughts that we have towards gender and towards women, they even manifest, in the day-to-day language that we use. This is our seat now. It's as though people have said, okay, the women have the women MP seat, but now this direct is also ours.
I think that's the mindset we need to clear.
Yes.
And probably that's why it's from that background that I also say that women are coming for this seat as well. And especially with these results, you realize that more women have come on board compared to how it was, especially for that direct MP seat.
Which is good because it shows competition, right?
Yeah.
It shows, and when we're talking about gender equality, we're saying let's look historically. In the beginning, how many women were in parliament? So you study the numbers and you see and you say, oh, they're even now. It means that the population is having enough trust and confidence in a person to say that we know there is a woman MP seat. But even in this one here, this direct one, but your opponent is also the things she's saying. They are quite enthralling. Was it Kampala that you were talking about? You see that type of situation. So is there any problem in having a direct MP seat as a woman and also the women MP seat as a woman? So what is the purpose of the women MP seat? The women MP seat is to represent the voices of the women in the community. What is the direct MP seat? It is the seat that sort of, you understand? So two women can be in two positions, but in entirely two different capacities, which is not a problem. But regarding the electoral process, when I was coming to this show, I said, now what am I going to say? Because I was among the people who are in the internet blackout. I don't know what is happening. I'm shut out. I was laughing about it, and I said to get my electoral updates, I was calling my father in Gulu because he has a television, and me, I rely on what? On phones. Yeah. So the environment has been truly quite one. FIDA Uganda as an organization, we're a human rights centered organization. We believe in the the promotion, the enhancement of women's rights, which are human rights and everyone's rights. We are not partisan. We do not support this person. We do not support the other person. We simply look at, in this particular process, where we're human rights centered, how are citizens being treated. If you have an electoral process that saw the arrest of a very crucial civil society leader, I think Sarah Birete was arrested. So arrested. And Sarah Birete is not just, when you have leaders, those leaders are representatives of certain organizations, of certain ideals. So when you have a leader of FIDA Uganda, that person is representative of access to justice, of legal aid. If someone is not having school fees, this is where we go. You see Sarah Birete from the Center for Constitutional Governance, commenting about internet, commentary, very rich commentary.
And the license of the organization.
Yes. So you have Sarah Birete arrested, you have her taken to prison, and then, there were also questions around bail there, not having bail. So, and then away from Sarah Birete, you had organizations closed. Yourself as a journalist, you saw there was an organization for journalists that was closed.
Human Rights Network for Journalists.
Human Rights Center for Journalists, chapter for Uganda. So these institutions are they are shut. There is no, you ask yourself, what are these institutions and what do they represent? There was an institution that was very interesting for me. It was something around finance monitoring during elections. So those particular conversations. So when you have civil society boxed, and the Constitution says that civil society shall have its autonomy in its operations. So you have government. Civil society is not government. We will never be government to come and usurp the power. But there is something that civil society represents, to say that there are leaders, there is this and this, but for the common man, we shall raise our voices. So those questions are something that, as FIDA Uganda, we felt that what is the shutdown around these organizations? When Sarah Birete was arrested, another crucial question came about, which was prisoner voting, right? So when you have, I was just writing somewhere here, very small letters, and I wrote citizenship. Citizenship is the legal status of being a full member of a country. It grants you particular rights, for example, to vote, right? So you have an American. When you're in America, you hear the Americans, I gotta vote. You see, I cannot go as a lawyer, Nyeko Omega, and I say I want to vote in America. No. Because I am not a citizen of America. It is this beautiful thing that is conferred upon us because we are Ugandans, right? Omna Uganda ngenda kola chi
Kulonda.
That's why in the election line you have Bebe Cool, you have Zwena, you have Mama Fina, you have Mama Tofa, you see, you have me, you have you. Why? Because when it comes down to it, all of us are Ugandans and we have this right to vote. So our brothers and sisters in prison, and where Sarah Birete currently is, I don't know what was the latest position, were they part of this democratic process? And if they were not, is it then truly a democratic process? And the question really came up because the court, in a case of Kalali Stephen, there was a case of Kalali Stephen where he went to court and he said that these prisoners, they have the right to vote. They're also Ugandans like us. And it wasn't just prisoners, it was also persons living in the diaspora. Some of them go as political refugees, some of them go to work and hustle. But these people are also part of us. If we say that we are going to self-determine as a country, we want to choose leaders, prisons, I think, has 78,000 people living there. So, what about them? Why, if the court said that they have the right to vote, why didn't they vote? And if they didn't vote, what does that mean? I don't want to say was there an election or was there something
So should we assume that the 47% that didn't vote fall under this category of prisoners in the diaspora? And
I will leave you to do mathematics because, as you know, lawyers don't know any math at all. We don't know. You give me 1 + 1 is 2. I will ask you for your calculator. So you ask yourself. But the broader question is, in these human rights, in saying that we are all equal. And prison, by the way, for someone to go to prison, it doesn't mean that they have been cast off. When I go to prison, it doesn't mean that I'm no longer a citizen. The purpose of prison is not entirely punitive. It is restoratory. It is to say that, you stole a bottle of water. You've been quite an inconvenience to society. You've robbed another person of their human rights. In the interests of justice, we are going to send you to this place to reflect, to restore you, to know that there is a punishment regarding this and this, but you remain a person, you remain a citizen. That's why they allow them to have visitors. That's why you find that there are social services, like hospital services in In prisons. They are still citizens. Other countries have adopted that voting method. Another maybe area of concern for us was the question of, how do I say it? The question of the internet. I think, as you've seen, the internet has become, it is not a small thing. It is not a small thing, because back in the day when we would talk about the right to access to information, you think newspapers, the television. If you look at it from a different, from the age category, as I was telling you, a youth, a young person, I don't have a television set in my house. Why? A television set is how much? 800,000, 400,000. I have a phone. I can get data for 2,000. And that is enough for me to go on Twitter to know that this and this happened here, this and this happened. And I have my electoral information. And this information is the one that is going to inform my mind towards my my candidate, right? So if I don't have it, and I'm saying this as myself, a person who has been privileged enough to even come and sit on a television station. So our boys down here in Chikovo, what does that internet shutdown mean for them in terms of the exercise of the electoral process? The electoral process is not just voting day. It has to be a fair process, from the registration of voters to this and this, to people having access to their information, to making an informed decision. How are you going to make an informed decision when you don't know? It sounds like I was joking when I said that I was calling my father. I said, who was one? I said this and this. I said, has Semuju one? Because he likes Semuju so much. So that was our mode of communication. And so now when you take that away, and the question is not taking it away, because government has every right to take away the internet in terms of what? In terms of security concerns. But you know, what time did the announcement come in? And what time did the internet go off? So you have to ask yourself. So the question here is not that the internet was taken away. It is regarding the time frame and what that meant for people. Do I have enough time to organize myself? Right? And then there was a question of mobile money, which was a very, you know that thing, I think we are still processing it. What can you do? You can send on the phone.
You can send, but you can't withdraw.
So there were very intricate plays there around the control of people's financial resources. So my sister called me and said, "Hey, Omega, do you have money on your phone?" I said, yeah, I have money. Then she said, "You send me some, I want to buy a car." I said, "Why?" She said, "I have cash, but I can't do anything." I said, "Okay." I went to the mobile money. I sent her the money on my own scenario. And I give these scenarios to show how a big policy directive can affect us. Say, okay, now myself, I need cash. I would like to buy something. I have money on the phone, but I cannot actually get that thing. I don't have any purchasing power at that moment. And the type of people that Ugandans are, we don't have, if you look at statistics, we are not a wealthy country. We don't have millions lying in the bank. Okay, for the Ugandans. So mobile money is the way in which we keep our daily resources close to us. That if I don't want to have my cash here on me, let me put my 40,000 on mobile money. When I need it, I'll pick it. You see? So liquidity is within now the mobile money platform. So now if you take away mobile money, I cannot move. I don't have any freedom of association, because I in fact do not have the monetary capacity to do anything until I have access to my money, whether that money is in hard copy or soft copy. So that was also an area of concern, because then you have voters disenfranchised. They want to, but they don't have the capacity. I want to go and see this and this person at this place. I would like to go and do this and this. And if you notice during this election period, especially after the internet shut down and the mobile money went off, there were no people in the streets. Were there people in your streets where you were? The numbers, the streets were empty. There was no money, that is the truth. There was no money at all for people to actually have the capacity to say, I want to buy this and this. When you go to a supermarket, and now that is where the income plays come, that the rich can actually afford to go to a supermarket where someone has a merchant code, and you pay with a merchant code. So what happens to Mama Tofa, who is down there, and her normal thing is a small little shop? There is no merchant code. Is she going to borrow? No. So what do you actually do in that particular situation?
MTN has just sent a message right now that their mobile money service is fully restored. So probably people can now withdraw their money that has been there for almost 6 days.
Yeah, for 6 days. You're trying to put me in a political net. I will not fall in it.
No, I was only trying to inform our viewer that they can now go and withdraw their money, because MTN says that the mobile money service is fully restored.
Yes, but there is a very interesting relationship between internet use and access to some of these services, between the government, the person, and the telecommunications service. Do we want to think about some of the rules that apply? Because you are the ultimate end user. You have access to your money. Let me ask you a question. Would banks impose such a directive?
I think if it is a directive anyway from government, then they have to.
Perhaps. So I don't know. That's why I said we need the researchers to come in, people who do a lot of research and research and find out and say, what was the full extent of cutting off this money on the lives of Ugandans? I had an interaction with someone yesterday, and they said they went to the hospital. I think it was for an endoscopy, and there was that situation there. I think their own insurance was the health sector among the people that were. If probably insurance, if their communication was through internet, then they were also off. They were also off. Yes. So I think, she had that operation.
Because partly the banks, the banking services like ATM and the reason they were not operational was because internet was off. And most of these services are on internet, operate on internet. So
you see that the internet is not just for TikTok challenges. It is so deeply ingrained into access to money, health. Decisions, electoral decisions are made via money, right? So that was it. So their human rights, their access to information, by the way, is a human right. That is why it is called the fourth estate. You have the judiciary, you have the legislature, you have the executive, but people say there is that fourth estate. We need to know journalism. So then
Information.
there were also questions around the biometric
voter verification.
Yes. So you have that, and really, I said that we are not a partisan organization. But if you have something that the government has invested billions of shillings into, and those billions of shillings have been from taxpayers' money, and then on the day itself, those things are not working. And then, procurement laws. Once you have purchased, you cannot return. So that money, what is the fate of that money? One of my favorite things about Ugandans is that Ugandans say 10 billion shillings, they could have put it here. You could have put it in health. You could have put it in this and this and this. The electoral process is also not just about voting. It is also about integrity in the electoral process. Integrity, public confidence, right? Because remember, there is a thing called self-determination. The Constitution in Article 1 says that supremacy of the Constitution. Right? No, it says power belongs to the people, and these people shall exercise it in full accordance with the what? With the Constitution. So how do we exercise our power, right? The election is not just for going and ticking. The election is a person's decision on how they are going to be what? Governed. Right? So that's self-determination, to say that me as Omega, I wanted to vote this and this person. My reasons for voting this person are this and this and this and this. And then for MP, I want this person. The person I voted for president may not be the party I voted for what? For MP. Then for my woman member of parliament, I want this and this and this. So the election is not a group project. It is a very individual what? Project. It is for you yourself, as you, the social contract between the people and the government, to say that, okay, we are all these people in the face of the earth, but among us, we want some people to go and organize for us some things. We want some people to speak for us. We want some people to, in terms of health. But you people, you're not just going to go and do this and this and this. We are the ones who are going to give you, what does Lusanja mean? The term. We are the ones going to give you the Lusanja. To go and do it for us. And we must always be in control. To say that if this person is not doing well, okay, it is okay. In the next Lusanja, we will change.
We take you to Taiwan.
I don't know. I said everything you're saying, those are your own things. Also, because now Taiwan, you want to take people to Venezuela. No, I saw people saying their things. No. FIDE Uganda is non-partisan. But the electoral process.
Taiwan was a statement we used to use way back in school when someone has lost the election, the prefectorial election. So people said he has been taken to Taiwan.
But what, if you ask yourself what was happening at Taiwan at that time?
I don't know.
Maybe
it was fun for us at school. It was fun, and up to now I've never questioned why.
So there might be need to question why Taiwan. I saw people crying, people fighting. You saw people fighting for their elections. But the electoral process is a time of self-determination, and that self-determination starts at an individual level. Right? That's why when, as women's organizations, when we come out and say there was electoral violence, that women are being forced to vote for the person their husband is going to vote.
Yes, and
so
that's the concern now.
In this house, we are going to vote so and so. But that is not who I want. When my daughter was not going to school because there are no pads, this person didn't speak out. So it is to say that everyone is unique in their own way. And because they are unique in their own way, they therefore need leaders that are unique to their needs. Your need, by the way, your needs may be totally different from my needs. My needs are I'm thinking about sanitary pads. I'm thinking about salary. Am I getting the same amount of money as my male counterparts? My needs are, if I get pregnant tomorrow, do I have maternity leave, or I will go? What is the competition at work? So we may have the same job, but when our minds are in completely two different places. You see women are coming late to meetings. I'm saying, these women are always coming late to meetings. But you woke up in the morning, I made tea for you quickly, you went. I bathed the children, I dressed myself.
It actually starts from home. When you're leaving, we always accuse ladies. They spend a lot of time in the mirror.
It is not... You people are always looking for ways of accusing lipstick. Leave lipstick alone. Now you see she has come with lipstick. She must have been applying. Lipstick is
she must have spent 2 hours.
No, there are broader questions there around, child care, right? And these are all things that are not paid for. That as society, we don't reward women for them, and yet women do them. I saw a picture of it. It was titled "The Lazy Mother," and it was a woman who had saucepans on her head. She had babies on her back. So, if you've ever had children, I have ever taken care of children. I'm not a mother, but you can run mad. This one is going this side. This one is going this side. You have to cook for them, and they are creatures of time. They are creatures of time. Children are not. They are not like adults. If a child wakes up in the morning, you must think for that child through the day. They have to bathe, they have to have breakfast, then they play a bit, then they eat lunch, then you quarrel with them to sleep, then after sleeping they wake up, they are hungry, you have to make evening tea, then after that they play a bit, then you cook supper, then after supper you put them to bed if they're the age of putting to bed. Then you wake up the next morning and repeat. Then you repeat for 18 years. So how does this fit into elections? We had digressed, but it fits into elections because people, the choices that we make are different choices. And I know that the thing that we were talking about was the biometric voter something, those voter kits. And when it comes to those kits, it's the question of accountability, especially from, I don't know now who purchased the biometric kits, but it's the question of accountability to come out and say that we purchased these and these number of kits. These were the number of kits that were working. How much did those kits cost? We had paid the service provider this and this amount of money. We would like to assure Ugandans that these monies are in the process of being what? Retrieved. If it is not possible, we would like to assure Ugandans that we are what? We are working towards the exchange of these. You understand? That sort of accountability in the electoral system for people to have public confidence. Now you got, and you know us, we really love to talk.
In like a minute and a half, I'll drive you back to the challenges that the challenges you said, the challenges that society never pays for, that a woman holds on their back silently. So looking at all these challenges the woman holds, and now they are taking up this position, is there not going to be an imbalance, either dropping the other challenges for this new role, or dropping not performing well in this new role as a parliamentary representative, and focus on the other challenges?
On which challenges?
You just talked about the challenges
that women hold in terms of taking care of families.
Take care of families and all that.
I used to have a friend, and she's much older than us. She was a very good friend of mine. She used to tell me, when I'm going into communities, I'm going to talk about domestic violence and gender-based violence. I don't say I'm here to talk about domestic violence and gender-based violence. I say I'm here to talk about the home. What is the home? What is a respectful home? So if your wife is crying, are you happy? When she's bringing money, does it bring you some more money? Does it mean you have more money to take care of children? So that was her approach, to speak a language that the people understood. So women are extremely capable of leadership positions, right? Being a woman does not mean that you want what? You're not going to be incapable of taking care of your constituency because you have maternal functions, or because you have what? You have a family to take care of. And in fact, that is why you should actually go to what? To parliament. So that you represent the voices of all these mothers and all these people that would actually, they would like to take an extra step, but because they are being, they are balancing. You remember the phrase, balance the boat. How do I balance the boat? It's very important that you see women in leadership positions. For the young girls out there, for the young boys, it is important. People think that men have arrived. They are ready, they are wearing suits there. But even a young boy, by the way, that's why I said it is an individual process. When you speak to people and they say, when I was young, I used to look at that honorable. And I said, when I grow up, I will be that honorable. You see, he didn't say he wanted to be all men. There was an embodiment of a certain person. Whether that person came from Lango, Mbarara, Rachtura, it didn't matter. It was that human what? Person. So it is important for young girls also to see particular figures, right? That figure may be who you are, that figure may represent your mother. Nalongo ali muki? Ali mu parliament, but your mother is also Nalongo. So you start seeing and you see, hey, it is actually what? Possible. So the conversation that women should not vie for leadership positions because it will take away from them being mothers, from them being this and this and this, it does not suffice. How many women do we have in parliament who are mothers? How many women do we have? Even in the church, we have women that serve. Has it taken away from their ability to what? In anything, it has actually broadened their what? Their maternal function over community. They have brought that unique set of gifts biologically and applied them and said that we need this and this and this and this and this, right? So it doesn't take. It doesn't take away. And
well, I see our time is actually out, but I want to thank you so much for coming through and elaborating. I believe we shall get more time to discuss these in depth. Now that internet is back, you can now follow through. But more increasingly, we still have a lot more to talk about, especially when it gets to matters of women. But for now, we end here. Edwin Austin Kalaz, I've worked with Emma, I've worked with SC and Ivan, of course, plus Hope. And from the entire team, we wish you a blessed day.
Issues at hand.